Hello, this is Jack Olmstead, GMO-free news. I'm here today with photographer, Flint Water Photographer, Megan Kreger. She's with
Hello.
Mezzo Media, and
hmm
she has been covering the Flint Water Crisis for a year. Can I say that?
Um,
A year? Did you
I
start?
mean, I've definitely been following it for over a year, but I started photographing it more in September. Unfortunately, I don't have as many photographs of as many protests as I would like, because one of the ways that Flint water impacted me was it increased my anxiety. So after a couple lifestyle changes, I was able to basically handle crowds again. And so I've really been on it this year with photographing it, but unfortunately, I missed a bunch. But
What what what
better late than
what
never.
kicked you into gear in September?
Um, I was part of the Virginia Tech water study. And so just seeing the amount of time and effort that went into even packaging those boxes up and basically sealing them as evidence, like that really opened my eyes and it made me think, okay, something is very wrong here if, a water test is being treated as evidence. And so I started really paying attention then. And I actually have some pictures from the Virginia Town Hall meeting.
How did you tell us about the experience? How did you become involved in the Virginia Tech water study?
I started looking into the effects of lead poisoning and things that it could cause and the impact it could have on your life. And too many things started adding up. And I'm like, okay, well, we definitely need our water tested.
Where did you get that link? Because at that time they were saying that it was safe. Was Virginia Tech back in October talking about lead in the water? I thought
It
they
was
were trying.
actually,
I thought they were trying to squash that in the mainstream media, in M Live.
well, a lot of it also stems from a conversation I had with Melissa Mays when she picked up our testing kit, and she was telling us about some of the experiences that she'd gone through with her health. And my dad's like, well, yeah, my joints have hurt. And she's like, yep, it affects your joints. And she was telling us about her own firsthand experiences with this. And then I was like, well, what about this? Could it cause kidney issues? Because that's one of the random things that I started having. So a lot of it just added up. And, I didn't want to go like straight for the conspiracy and be like, well, it's got to be this. But I did a little more research. I went to my doctor. I did test, I believe it was zero point zero 0.08 micrograms per deciliter. So that's pretty low, but it's still in my system. And when you haven't drank water from one, we're still testing with lead, like that just, it didn't seem right to me. So, I mean, it's really frustrating. And then we weren't getting answers. We were still being told, it's okay. And then started coming out. And like the reason why I photograph protests and why I go to protests is because I'm so angry at everything that's happened. And to be perfectly honest, the only way that I can deal with it is to have some sort of an outlet. And some people, they go to a protest, they yell, they scream, they've got their signs. As a photographer, I have to stay unbiased. But that doesn't mean that, you know, I can't be there. It doesn't mean I can't tell those stories. So, I mean, a picture says, they always say a picture says 1,000 words. So I try to let things, the pictures I take, speak for themselves.
So
So,
you were just one of the many residents that participated in the Virginia Tech water study, where they
Yep.
knocked on your door, they called you, they contacted you somehow, and they said, would you like to have your water tested? And you went, yeah, sure, okay, we'll have our water tested. You got the kits, you filled up the water bottles, and then when you were handing those water bottles off to Melissa Mays, you got in a conversation about, gee, liver, joints. And you were going, whoa, I got
Kidneys. Mental
kidneys,
impact.
mental impact. I need to hit Google and find out about lead poisoning. Is that kind of how it went?
Well, close. It wasn't Virginia Tech that knocked on my door. I actually found out through Facebook that there was a testing program. And I was like, oh, this sounds awesome, because first off, I'm going into meteorology. So as a scientist, that was very appealing to me. But also just the mental security of knowing, okay, well, that's what my water level is. My water lead level is. Our water tested at 3.9 micrograms per deciliter. So anything above 5, they were saying, okay, you can't drink. And I'm like, okay, 3.9, that still seems high. And, sometimes it's hard to not feel guilty, because there's a lot of people who have it worse off than me. And sometimes I feel like my health issues might not be as deserving of attention or something like that. But it affects everybody differently. I mean, everybody in the city has been impacted. You can have low lead water levels, but if you've got a compromised immune system like mine, it's going to affect you a little bit more.
There you go.
Excuse me. Yep,
You can
bottled water, way of life.
show that you are a Flint resident. You're never too far away from a bottled water.
Nope. Honestly, if I get to there being less than a dozen bottles left, I get a little nervous, because that's about 2 days worth of water just for me. If it gets to 4 bottles, I'm calling people going, okay, can anybody get me to fire station, because I got to go pick up water. But the good news is my partner is wonderful. He volunteers basically across from one of the fire stations. So he's able to get it on a regular basis. Since, I'd gladly go get it myself, but I don't drive, and I've got carpal tunnel in both wrists, and I just had surgery on one of them. So my lifting capability isn't back to where it should be, and so I can only lift about half a case of bottled water at a time. Which makes it a little hard because a lot of these cases are they're really big. One of my friends actually surprised me. She tweeted me out of the blue, and she's like, hey, what's your address? Never mind, I found it. And I'm like, what is going on? She's like, oh, you'll have a surprise. 2 days later, there's 6 dozen bottles of water, 236 bottle packs outside my door. And I'm like, what's... And so I posted a picture, and I'm like, oh, someone sent me a special delivery. And she's like, you're welcome. But it was just, at the same time, it's very surreal to, have one of your friends that lives across the country, actually over by you, Jack. She's in Washington. It's very strange to live like this, and it's like, we don't know when it's going to end. I'm not one of the people that bathes in bottled water. It seems like a really big hassle.
Well, not yet. Melissa just got a bunch of Coleman camping showers. And
yes,
she's going to be distributing those out so that people can take their bottled water and have themselves portable showers.
And I actually told her that, because she was discussing that, I believe it first started to be a thing on, and I use those words with great fondness because I know MDEQ didn't. But she was talking about it in on the bus to DC, and she's like, I think Coleman just sent me like 34,000 camping showers. And I'm like, what? What the heck?
30. She
So,
didn't tell me 34,000. She just said some
she
camping
thought that,
showers.
yeah, she said that she thought that they might have. And like I said, this is at the very, very beginning when Coleman first called her and it's like, hey, we want to donate these. I, well, I'm not quite sure, but that's mentally how I picture the conversation going. So oops, irresponsible reporting. Please don't take away my press pass.
That's right. You get a press pass to go to events, don't you?
Mm-hmm. I do. Actually, the most recent one was for Bernie when he spoke
Uh-huh.
at
And you went and covered the event. 9,000 people showed up at the Bernie event. That's what they said.
Yeah, I mean, that rally was absolutely amazing. I mean, like, I'm really glad that I went because, I mean, there was so much positivity there. And, it was the first time that I guess Bernie had actually spoken with people from Flint. And, it, you could just tell that it impacted him personally. And I've got a couple shots of him looking straight into my camera. I was wearing a Flint Lives Matter shirt, and it's it was amazing when I went back through the photographs, and I'm like, I took these. Wow. As an artist, you always get faced with the insecurities of, is my stuff any good? And I'm not gonna lie, that stuff was good. I'm like, to this day, I still look at it and it's amazing. I can actually pull up some photos here really quickly. Let me just find them. Um, the most poignant picture I got was actually when Bernie took a sip from a bottled water and he was staring straight at me. And that I thought just, that was kind of overwhelming. It's like, it's just a bottled water, but
Are you going to get a press pass to the Democratic debates?
oh, I hope so. I really do hope so. I mean, that's kind of, I'm thinking of that as a once in a lifetime opportunity, and that would be so, so amazing.
What do you have to do?
That's a good question. I haven't gotten in touch with the DNC yet. I have talked to some people in Bernie's campaign, and no one really knows yet. So
They got to
just
know.
in,
It's like the 7th of March. It's like 2 weeks away.
I know, I really gotta start pounding the pavement on that one.
Somebody knows.
Somebody knows, they're just not telling me. That's one of the issues about being independent media. Unfortunately, I feel as though I'm not taken as seriously as some people, and this doesn't always help. This is my camera. It is basically always 3 feet away from me. And as you can see, it's pink. So
It's definitely pink.
yeah, it makes a lot of people do double takes. And I feel like sometimes it makes people look at me and go, oh, pink camera, she can't be serious. But at the same time, I do get a certain amount of glee out of them being like, oh, it's a pink camera, that's yeah. And then I see my shots and I post them and it's like, whoa, that little pink camera kicks butt. So, but all right, one of the more poignant pictures, I have this now. Let me just start screen sharing. And is it going? There we go.
There he is, Bernie, looking
Yep.
right at you, drinking bottled water.
I kind of wish I knew what was going through his head at that point in time. You know, but I think about stuff like that and just little things like, I mean, you can see he's not happy that something has impacted him. And I really think that, you know, speaking with the people from Flint, like that really would have, it's hard to not be affected by it. You know, there are so many people with so many stories, and
Did he talk to you?
No, I wish. That would have been amazing.
It sounded like he talked to Melissa.
I do not know that. So
He was talking with the mother about her sons and the drop of IQ points and not doing well in math and in school, and that just sounds like Melissa's story.
Yeah, to be perfectly honest, I didn't see her at the rally. I can't remember. I talked to her. I can find out. I don't know if she was there or not. It would have been a blast if she was.
Well, it's all water under the bridge. You would think that she's going to be at the Democratic debate on the 7th. I'm sure she'd get out of her sick bed to go to that debate.
Oh, yeah. You know, honestly, I hope so. I really hope there's a lot of Flint people that get to go. It's kind of hard to tell, though, because, you know, we don't know who's going to get to go. We don't know how to get tickets. The most informative answer I've gotten is that within the Bernie campaign, volunteers, they're basically going to do a lottery, and, well, maybe not a lottery, but the more you volunteer, the more likely you are to be able to get to go. So, all right, check this really quick.
But how about the water warriors? How about the moms? How about the kids? How about the...
Exactly, they're the people that should get to go.
The school teachers, the social workers. Who gets to go?
Yeah,
and the independent media that's been covering this for quite some time. That's right. Do a little dance. Yeah. You're deserving. Who's to say you're not? And who's the decider on this? Anderson
yeah.
Cooper and group, probably.
Yeah, you know, I'm glad he's moderating, because I feel like he does a really good job with the debates. Maybe not town halls as much, judging by the most recent performance. But, I mean, he's a good moderator.
I don't think he's covered the Flint Water Crisis yet. I haven't seen any reports. I haven't seen any video footage of Anderson Cooper getting real mad about what's happening in Flint.
Yeah. I haven't seen any either. It's kind of a disappointment when you know of someone that hasn't really brought it up. Like, I've made it pretty clear or insinuated that I'm a Bernie supporter. It was a little hurtful that Hillary brought it up first. It's like, come on, infrastructure is your thing.
Hillary is the reason why they're having the debate in Flint. She pushed for it. I mean, this goes to the core of Hillary as a woman. She's totally disgusted and that's, you know, that you know, really affects people when they hear her talking about her connection to the moms of Flint.
Yeah.
She has empathy. You can see the empathy pouring out of her with Bernie. Throw the guy in jail. Let's get Snyder, you know, to resign. I mean, that's his take. And then of course he gets emotionally affected when he talks to residents. But with Hillary, she's like from the get-go, you know.
Yeah, and actually I know one thing that they've done is she just recently set up a campaign office, and they did, I guess they do have supplies there for it to be a resource center. So that's actually one thing that is really cool. Both the campaign offices that are in Flint right now, they are water distribution sites, and they do have I do believe that they've got other supplies as well. So, I mean, that's one thing that really impresses me is that, okay, you're not just there to get votes. You actually are trying to give back to the community as well. And I think a lot of people might not know that they're distribution sites. So, guys, I'm officially telling you, go get water. They don't card. You don't need an ID.
Well, maybe you can go down and take some pictures with people drinking bottles of waters at the offices. Have the little Bernie T-shirts, the Bernie yard signs in the background. I would think they could, like, on their yard signs, on their buttons, have a little plastic water bottle or have something that mentions Flint having, you know, material that's reflects the tragedy in Flint. And of course, Hillary made a 1-minute PSA infomercial to get people to donate money. I think Kids for Flint, Flint for Kids, or kids, flintkids.org. So she is going the extra mile here.
Yeah.
But Trump sent his semi-truck. Trump's semi-truck has been going around and around and around the city for probably a month.
And yet it eludes me. It is my white elephant, right, or white rhino right now. I haven't been able to get a picture of it yet. I know that it was going by one of the protests, but it's like every single time I turned around, it'd be out of range. So
I've seen a number of pictures of it, and we've had it in our live stream videos. But so that's Trump's presence, a big semi truck with his image on it.
I think it'd do a lot better if maybe the truck stopped and raised the back, and it turned out there were supplies there.
He can afford it. It could be the Trump water wagon.
It'd work.
Stop me. We got cases of water for you, and they could go down neighborhoods. I mean, why not? It would do a lot better than this big, huge semi truck just going in circles. You know, whenever there's a crowd, there's the Trump truck, empty, which kind of goes with his campaign. The empty Trump truck. No water for you.
Your words, not mine.
Just a bunch of air in our truck. No water for you.
Yeah, actually, give me just a second here. I'll pull it up.
Trump has got to make good on this. Trump, I mean, hopefully his minions out there, I don't know if we call them minions, his handlers, the people that, you know, give him advice, or maybe him. Maybe he's going to watch this. Maybe it's going to pick it up. Fill up that truck with water. You know, not air, water. How's that for a slogan? They could put that on a sign. Trump, fill your truck with that water, not air, and stop.
If wishes were nickels,
Stop
I'd be
circling.
rich.
Stop circling the crowd. Stop and give us water. Or actually, I think the water warriors want this truck to stop and give out checks to pay their water bills. How's that?
I would be okay with that.
So how's your water bill?
It's pretty high right now. I know it's around $600, but I also know that we haven't been paying the full thing because, I mean, you know, I showed you the piece of tooth earlier. I
Show
had bad
the
teeth.
audience
Oh yeah.
your tooth. Let's talk about your tooth story.
Okay, so
We can't see it. It's there's a flare. There's a glare. Do it sideways, so we don't get the sideways. Sideways. There's whoops. No, sideways. Okay, that's kind of okay. That's the tooth. That's the tooth that you pulled out. Was it yesterday?
It was on Monday.
It was on Monday. You pull it out with what?
Pliers.
You go into your mouth. You see this tooth. You pull it out with pliers because it's annoying you.
Well, no, it was a little chunk of tooth. Like my teeth, and I know your viewers are probably horrified right now. I'm not crazy. I'm just getting by. So, one of the things that lead does when it impacts your teeth is it basically or causes them to rot from the inside out. And so brushing my teeth in the water, even though I'm flossing twice a day and, you know, brushing at least twice a day, I started having more issues and, you know, old fillings falling out and whatnot. And you know it's bad when you bite into like a Subway flatbread and you have a tooth break. And so I'm like anybody, you know, if you got something stuck in your teeth, you're going to fuss with it. Well, it's kind of the same sensation, except for it's like a little chunk of tooth. And so it was bothering me and it got really loose. And basically the only way that I would be able to get it out is go to a dentist, which I'm kind of deathly afraid of. And or you can pull it out. And so I couldn't get a grip, so I pulled it out. And after that, my partner is like, I'm making calls to a dentist. But it's been really crazy because like to try to take care of your teeth, even if they're not in the best shape to start with, and then, you know, you find out later that basically the water you were brushing them in was making it worse. That really sucks. And it was only at the Steve Harvey show taping that we really got a definitive answer of don't bathe, don't bathe in it, don't brush your teeth in it. So yeah, there's a bottle of water in the bathroom now. I was a little irritated because it was empty this morning, but I just went and got another one. But I hate to say it, but I've probably pulled out at least 3 little chunks like this, and it's just.
We were talking about teeth from your mouth, and so you're pretty handy now with a pair of pliers around your mouth.
Oh, I hate to say it, but I just might be.
So if anybody has any issues in Flint with their teeth, you know, they're a little wiggly.
I can help you. I can help you. If you've got like a first grader, you know, just can't seem to get it out for the tooth fairy, you know, no charge. It's for the kids.
Well, we were talking.
I'm pretty sure that's not hygienic, actually, but
That's right. I mean, how do you get your pliers clean? Do you boil them in bottled water before you?
no, I basically rinse them down with hydrogen peroxide and then alcohol, and then rinse them off in bottled water. I figure, one of them will help with the bacteria. So
We were kind of kidding, but everything, kidding aside, it has some truthiness to it.
yep.
And we were talking about Flint Teeth for Truth.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that
Absolutely.
slogan?
Absolutely. And that's actually why this piece of tooth is in a little baggie, because I was talking with Melissa Mays, and she's like, oh yeah, if you lose any teeth, set them aside and send them in for testing. And I'm like, okay, cool. So when I do get to the dentist, which I've been told is going to happen within 2 weeks, which I think I'm actually ready to go now because this is ridiculous. Yeah, I know I'm gonna have to have some taken out, and so I'll just be like, I brought baggies. Can you please put it in the, like, rinse it off, put it in this, just because it's, who knows what we can find out from it.
Well, we
I'm
know
not going to use it.
we know the lifespan of lead in the bloodstream is around 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
And then, a lot of the lead gets flushed out one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
But there is some lead that goes into your bones, into your organs, into your fatty blood cells, I think, your fatty tissues, I believe, and into your teeth.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have teeth and you live in Flint and they fall out, you can send them in for analysis that will give you a better picture of the lead that's in you, not in your blood system, because that goes away, but in your bones.
Mm-hmm. And actually, oops, sorry, go ahead.
Well, there were studies done, I think back in the 40s, where they took children's teeth and from an elementary school, and they found out how much lead these elementary students had based on the teeth that fell out, their first teeth. And then the kids that had high lead in their systems, they followed them for 20 years to find out what kind of adults they turned into. And they didn't turn into, tax-paying members of society. And so based on those studies, we have determined that lead introduced into people creates a whole bunch of issues, health-wise, mental-wise, and IQ point-wise, and just the anxiety that people have that can be brought on by lead, that impulsiveness, that I'm not going to think this through, I'm just going to go and do it. I need money, I'm going to go rob a bank because this will be the answer to my problems. I mean, those are the decisions that are made by somebody who is poisoned with the lead. So anyway, teeth, as Dr. Mona Hanna-Attisha has said, is kind of like the tree rings that we can see your lead exposure over time. So why there isn't a mass pouring out of a study to get people to, or through dentists in Flint, a program to start analyzing teeth in people is totally beyond me. And
Yeah,
why
I mean,
and
it's
why we have to talk about that. You take a pair of pliers, you pull out this chunk of tooth, and it's like, okay, I'll send this in. I'll do it. And then we start
Mhm.
talking like truth for teeth, or Flint teeth for truth. Good little
I like
slogan,
that. I like that.
because the truth is in the teeth. I mean, it's not going to be in the blood samples. It's going to be in your teeth. That's what's
Mhm.
going to tell people how much lead you actually have in your system.
Mhm. And not only that, but I feel like that bring quite a bit of peace of mind to me as well, because lead being in my system is still a very real concern for me. I'm 30 years old. I'm getting ready to settle down, and I don't know if I should have biological children because of the multi-generational impact on people who, are dealing with lead poisoning. It's here, I'll see if I can find a link real quick.
Well, you've done the studies.
Hmm.
Lead
And
in your system you have a higher risk of miscarriages.
hmm much higher. It's what I believe 30 or 40% higher.
Well, there are some studies that say that it's 60%. It depends on who you talk to.
Hmm.
But then again, back in the day, we're talking the 20s or 30s. I think this might be just a joke, but people were told that if you have children, if you're a mother, you have lead in your system. If you have children, then your fetus will draw out the blood from draw out the lead from your body. It's a way
Hmm.
to cleanse yourself of lead.
Yeah. And it's I wonder how many women in the area might be of the same opinion of me, and even scary, I wonder how many women don't know that, their future kids will be impacted by this. I mean, it's just Flint water is the gift that keeps on giving. So it's just, stuff like this is why I go to the protests, why I photograph them, because it's something I can do. It's something that I can do to help tell the story, to get it out there, because it is so much worse than we realize. It's just, it's, it can, it's almost too much at times. But I know for me, I'm going to be transferring to meteorology school. And so I'm really looking forward to moving. But, I'm probably going to be moving down to Oklahoma. Actually, I am moving down to Oklahoma, and I know there's a lot of fracking there, and that impacts the groundwater tables. And to be perfectly honest, I don't know if I will ever be able to drink water from the tap ever again. Like, I've got a water filter on, but we're still having health issues. So I got a second water filter. Like, I've got one of the zero water pitchers. And so, like, I will filter water through the sink, and then I will filter water through that again. And that's what the cats get. But me, I'll stick to bottled water because I tried a glass of it and it tasted normal. It tasted exactly the way that water should. It was crystal clear the way that water should. But there was a deep-seated, like, tightness in my chest that's like, do you really want to drink this? Are you sure this is safe? And I don't see that going away anytime soon. I I really don't. It's why risk it? I've already been through it once, so
You're
I will
moving to
probably be
Oklahoma.
drinking these a long time. Hmm.
You're moving to Oklahoma. You've made that decision.
Hmm.
What keep people in Flint? And if people had the money, would they stay in Flint?
I'd like to think so, because contrary to what you hear on the news and stuff, Flint is actually, there's been a lot of stuff getting put in lately, like the farmers market and the revitalization of downtown. It's actually a pretty cool place to live. It's just there's little pockets. But I think that's a really personal decision that people should reflect upon. And I mean, I know of a lot of people that if they could move, they did. The family of the child that was on the cover of Time magazine, they moved to Swartz Creek because bathing in bottled water, it got to be too much for them. And they're like, no, we need to find a new place to live. We just can't deal with this anymore. But like you said, there are a lot of people that can't afford to move. So it's something that's fixable, but we don't know when it's going to be fixed. So it's really hard to answer that question. If I had a car and I had the money, I probably would move. Hell, if I had the money, I would seriously consider it. Like I said, I don't drive, so I just try to get a place by public transit. But
How is public transit in Flint?
it's good. I wish that there was more of it, but I mean, it's really cool because the older buses, a lot of people don't know this, but the older buses in Flint, we've got two types. We've got hybrids and we've got standard. And then the standard buses were actually the shuttle buses that were used at the 1996 Atlanta Olympics. So it's kind of cool if you know that you're riding around on a little piece of history. But there's issues with the extended service. The buses go by every half hour. So it's really, the two experiences I've had with public transit are in San Diego and Flint. So, I mean, I think it's pretty decent. I think it'd be cool if we had a trolley like San Diego. But I mean, it's enough you can get by. So there's been issues. I know a couple summers ago, like over winter, there were some accidents, and so they actually had to really cut back bus service. Like there were times during the day where they only ran once an hour, and then they stopped running the buses altogether after, I believe, 6 p.m. And they're like, oh, well, you can rely on your ride. Well, that's great, except for your ride costs twice as much. And, well, it's a crapshoot to see when/if they show up. So, but a lot of people use it. I believe it was within the top 10 fastest growing public transit systems in the US. So, yeah. I don't know. That's not a topic I'm as knowledgeable about. I just can only speak from my personal experiences.
Sure. Well, let's talk from your personal experiences. You want to show us some pictures? You've been on buses to Washington, D.C. You were on a bus to Steve Harvey in Chicago. You were at the rally with Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Yeah. So real quick, first, I want to show everyone a little snippet of Flint life. This was back in January. Give me just a sec. Screen share, screen 2. So what this is this is the street I live in.
Well,
And
so far we just have a black screen. We
oh,
don't have a picture yet.
okay. Really?
Really?
Huh. That is an issue. So
All I see
how
is
about
a
now?
black. I see a truck and
Okay.
police vehicles
Yeah.
and people with water.
Okay. So this was the first delivery we got. We've gotten, this was the first one by volunteers. And this guy was pretty cool. He came, dropped it off. We had the National Guard come by once and Red Cross volunteers come by once. So that's not a whole lot of water deliveries, but you know, it was really cool that they were doing that in the beginning. So let me drop this down, back to album. So you were mentioning some of the other ones. Let's make sure I've got them all up on my Flickr. Ah! All right, so unfortunately, it seems that I do not have, oh, who am I? Hang on, I'm so sorry about this. Let me just open up my Facebook page.
Which Facebook page are you going to be opening up?
I'm going to be opening up the business page that I have set up. So this is one of the photographs from the DC trip. This is when we were first leaving.
And you're on the bus.
I was,
Now
and
that was a 14-hour bus ride to DC.
oh, it was terrible, but it was amazing all at the same time.
Were you on the bus with Melissa or the bus without Melissa?
I was wondering who she was talking to the entire time, but it seems that it was you.
Well, yeah, I think for about an hour or so. We did a live stream while she was in transit going to Washington, D.C. and then coming back from Washington, D.C.
Yeah. So I think I interrupted that once or twice. So my header photo is actually, if you look in here, you can't really see them, but this is from the most recent march. The one with Jesse Jackson and Judge Mathis. And they had a podium there, and then people were gathered around. Actually, that's my partner right there. He's got a sign that says no one should have to pay for poison. So you are interested in the DC trip picture.
Was it cold? Was it cold that day?
It wasn't. It was like 60 degrees. It was absolutely fantastic. Perfect day for a march.
Oh.
It was a little muddy, so I ended up I was running along the side of the crowd trying to get ahead of them, and that resulted in me slipping and falling a couple times. But
slipping and falling?
Yep.
What happened with your pink camera?
It was fine. It's my baby, so like I automatically, when I slip, like my right hand goes out to catch myself, and then my left hand tends to go and basically shove it up against my chest, so it's got padding. But yeah, I was shocked. I didn't even have to clean the camera lens afterwards. But all right, so here's some of the pictures we've got from DC. This is a woman named Gladys. She is holding up a chunk of hair, or two chunks of hair. This is all hair that she's lost. And I really feel her on this because I've lost about a third of my hair myself. So the entire time during the congressional hearing, she was holding this up, and it's very powerful. She comes to a lot of the events as well, and actually she was there at the Steve Harvey taping, and she did get a chance to speak, which is awesome because when she goes to events, She brings a gallon jug of her water from, and I'm not sure if, I think it was from when the water was really bad. I'm not sure, so please don't quote me on that. But she also brings her hair so that people can actually see, this is what I had to drink and this is what it's done to me. And I mean, that's just incredibly powerful. So let's see what else we have. So this is when we just gotten off the bus.
No,
And now
you
we're
just
fine.
got off the bus. You were sitting on the bus. You were on the bus for what, 13 plus hours?
Yeah, we
And you're
left
stuck,
at
and you're stuck in Washington, D.C. rush hour traffic, and the hearing has already begun, and you guys are sitting in the bus. How was that feeling for you?
Well, it was a lot better once we had the hearing broadcasting over the radio. When the head of the committee announced that they were going to be sending the U.S. Marshals after Darnell early, I mean, the entire bus just bust into cheers and laughter, and like it put us in a really good mood. So it got everybody really pumped up and ready for the hearing. And like we'd just gotten there, or we'd stopped ahead of time, so everybody's like, oh, okay, cool, so time to primp a little bit. But just once the hearing was on, it was, man, they didn't hold back. They really didn't hold back. They were just tearing people to shreds.
Did you get in the room, or did you have to go to
I
an overflow
did.
room? You did.
I did, and let me see. I don't believe I have those pictures uploaded yet. This is actually when we are outside the room. I did call ahead and see if I could have my camera, and I wasn't able to, unfortunately. So I did have to make up with some, architecture pictures. This is one of the libraries in there. Let's see, do I have goodies? We got shuffled around a lot, so that part sucked. Actually, this is Zach Clark. He was another photographer on the trip, and he's got some amazing shots as well. So this is pre-press hearing. This is after we get everybody in there. And I've got a gap in there apparently from my phone actually working. But then this was afterwards, which was really cool because unfortunately, we were delayed in coming back because of DOT regulations saying that the bus driver needed 8 hours off, I believe. So we ended up getting pizza. So, but yeah, I need to upload those, and then little stroll around. I have to have my weather pictures. So, yep, that was that. And then see if I've got other good ones. All right, so we've got the rally pictures, the most recent ones, state of the state, recall hearing, budget protest. Pick one.
Pick one.
Yeah, you're the host.
Let's see. How many cover photos do you have?
I just have the one up.
You just have the one.
Unfortunately. Yeah, like I've got a stock photo for my profile picture. It is still a relatively new page.
Well, let's go with the recall Snyder hearing.
Excellent choice. So, with these. So we went at, this is Megan. Unfortunately, I can't remember her name, but Megan's a hoot. And so she actually went ahead and like had all sorts of bottles on her and whatnot. This gentleman, he we got some canned water, and it didn't go over very well because it didn't taste very good, apparently. So he was holding that up as an example of, you know, some of the stuff that we had to deal with. This is Tanya. She was holding up a baby bottle full of water from her tap. So that's an idea of the crowd we had outside. Some of the signs. That's Arthur. And this, I feel, this is probably one of my favorite photographs from the shoot.
Because it's got weather in the background.
Well, not just that.
Really?
Yeah, I'm actually a severe weather photographer, so I prefer it when it's a little more stormy out. Like right now, it's actually snowing up a storm. It is a snowstorm. So more protesting outside the building. And then these pictures always hit me hard. You know, when you got the kids holding up the signs, a lot of people do bring their kids with them to protest, which I think is kind of amazing because, you know, then you've got a whole new generation that's becoming civically involved from a very young age. But at the same time, it's really sad at times because when you've got, let's see, where is it? You've got little kids holding up signs. This child, you know, he's probably 2, 3, and he's going to have to live with this for the rest of his life. And what did he do to deserve that? He didn't do anything other than be a kid.
A kid in Flint.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and this guy's sign, I've been saying it for a while, filters, it's just a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. It really is. So we were all gathered outside, had to be briefed on what was going on exactly and what the recall committee was saying because it was really little things like something being misspelled that they were kicking these recall petitions back over. Just something as simple as that, misspelling Genesee. And it's like, I get it because you really want to make sure that it's not contested in court, but it is so frustrating when you're trying to basically, it's just so frustrating because when you're trying to get justice and then it's a misspelling. It's one letter, you know? So, and then, oh, so Jennifer, Jessica, God, sorry, Jess, she held the water up the entire time. In fact, that's one of the committee members. As you can see here, there was a baby bottle, a filthy water baby bottle that was on the screen or on the table the entire time. And it was so frustrating for us, but it was frustrating for the committee too, because like one of the petitions at this hearing, there were 4 people there. 2 voted yes, 2 voted no. And it was, you know, it had to be a bipartisan effort, of course, and the Republicans voted no, the Democrats voted yes on the panel. So it's like, it was so frustrating because we were so close yet so far. This is one of the, I believe this is one of the petitioners. But we were allowed to speak in regards to the petitions. So a lot of the people that you see seated at the table, they are speaking and basically giving testimonies about why they think the petitions should be accepted. So there's Megan getting sworn in again. And Tanya. And that would be the end of that one.
So they rejected all of the petitions at this point, didn't they?
Actually, no, there was one that had been approved. And
that's the Reverend Bullock petition.
Well, this Reverend Bullock. I don't believe so, because this is the hearing that was earlier in February. I know that Reverend Bullock, wasn't his just recently accepted on Monday?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so this is the hearing before that.
I see.
We didn't have anything put together to go protest that one. But the state of the state, this one was really, truly amazing. So, I mean, you can see there were just so many people there. That's our sign. We confiscated it. And unfortunately, we need a new one soon. So, I mean, there were just hundreds of people there. And it was so loud, and we were so energized. And it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And when you watch the recordings of the state of the state, it's kind of fun, because there's times when Snyder's voice gets a little high and squeaky. It's like, oh, are we making you nervous? Aw, it's okay. Actually, it's not okay. Good. I mean, you can hear us in the recordings. People weren't very happy when the stadies walked through, but we were just being loud. So it's so many people there. And I mean, really, this sign says it all. What do you know? When did you know it? We're still trying to get those answers. You know, if you want to rebuild trust in the public, if you don't want protests like these to, you know, be hanging over your head, then there needs to be transparency.
But you said you will not trust tap water again, no matter where you live. You go to Oklahoma, you're not going to trust what's coming out of your tap. You seem to have a mistrust for people that are being paid to protect your health and welfare.
I do, because there are people that were given the task of protecting my health and welfare, and they didn't. They didn't do their jobs. They lied, and everybody got impacted.
So what do you are you counting the days? Are you looking forward to going back to Washington, D.C. for the next oversight committee hearing?
Well, I really, really, truly hope that there is another bus that goes down there. If so, I will be one of the first people to sign up for it if I can. I might have to wait in line for that.
I mean, I would
But
think there would be a caravan of buses going to Washington, D.C. for that hearing.
oh, absolutely. I have a feeling it's going to be a glorious mess because the House Oversight Committee does not hold back with their questions. And there's going to be some really nasty questions that get asked. And when I say nasty, I don't mean like mean or out of line. Just they're not going to hold back.
When did you know it? That's what they're going to press on. What did you know, and when did you know it, and why the cover up? Why did you allow this to happen? I mean, they're going to have the administrator of the EPA. They're going to have the administrator of Region 5, who resigned February 1st. They're going to have Governor Snyder.
And is Early going to be at this one?
Early said Early has to be there because armed U.S. Marshals served him with a summons. So he can't refuse. He can't come up with any. On his deathbed, they're going to wheel him in there and have his body stuck, in there. I mean, that there is no wiggle room for him to get out of there. So Early will be there. And then you've got Miguel Del Portro that will be there, who had Del Toro that had a pass on the first hearing, and everybody's saying, "Oh, he's needed in Flint. He can't miss a day. He can't miss an hour. He can't miss a minute. He can't miss a second. He has to be there. He can't be at the Oversight Committee. He's going to be there." And then, of course, the Flint folk hero, Mark Edwards, will also be on the panel. So it should be grand theater where Mark Edwards will be able to look into the face of the people that poisoned the population, and that is responsible for an agency that poisoned the population in Washington, D.C. 10 years ago, which he's still hopping mad about.
Yeah. Well,
so,
and as well he should be.
Well, they didn't have emergency management law in Washington, D.C., and there were a number of municipalities around the country, and their water is polluted as well with lead, and that it doesn't have to do with emergency management law or the politics. It has to do with the people that are paid to protect public health.
Yeah, and
EPA.
And what I've found in my interactions with Dr. Edwards is that he is a hell of a man. He really is. And he is good people through and through. And I would have no doubt that I'd have with people in DC and that he's still keeping an eye on it, because stuff like this impacted him. I do have a sound recording of the September 15th town hall meeting with him. And he didn't get as choked up as Kurt yet, but you could still hear it in his voice, and he was angry. And I mean, think about it from this perspective. The man's a genius. He pays attention to stuff like this, and it's really got to be hard to see it happen again. It's like, didn't you guys learn? So
no, I think it is. He knew it was going to happen again. He knew it was inevitable. He knew that he would be getting a call at some point that said, "We have lead in our water. Can you help us?"
Yeah.
And so the call came. He knew it was coming.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't know when. He just knew it was going to come.
Yeah.
And that
Didn't know
call
when, didn't know where.
was Leanne Walters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she got in touch with him via Miguel.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
he
thank
dropped
God.
everything. He dropped everything.
Yep,
I've done interviews with the students that were in the van that went with him to Flint on several occasions, and they said that he worked like a dog. 20 hours he worked on this. He was hands-on every single step of the way,
Absolutely.
working right along with volunteers, with 16-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds. He
Mm-hmm.
was doing everything.
Just a remarkable group of people that came
He
in to
was,
help us.
he was in shorts and sandals, then he got in a tie and button-down shoes. He did everything possible. And then when the results came in, he didn't mince words.
No, he didn't. And thank God, because I mean, how you can't just sugarcoat something like, oh, hey, guess what? Your water's poisoned. You can't. There needs to be that awakening, and it's harsh and it feels like a slap in the face, but hate to say this, but it's kind of for your own good. um I mean, I don't want to think about where we would be if it weren't for Dr. Mark Edwards or for Kurt Guyette of the ACLU. I don't want to think about it.
Or Dr. Mona Hanna-Attisha, because
Oh,
nobody
God,
seemed to listen to
yes.
any of these other people until she came
Absolutely.
out with her
Absolutely.
independent studies. But it
Like,
really, did
yeah,
take the village. It took everybody working, in tandem for this to
yeah.
happen. It wasn't just
And
one component over another. It was the village.
And this is going to sound terrible, but it's like as soon as Dr. Mona came out with her first study, like it was a wave of relief. It's like, oh, thank God. There's a study, and it's kids. They can't ignore it because it's kids. It's and they still tried to. They tried to discredit her, and it's yeah. I mean, it just leaves me speechless at times, the amount of effort that was put into covering it up. It's like they were talking back in August about recommending water filters for aesthetic reasons.
We haven't
And
talked about your story.
yeah. So, my experiences with Flint Water. I moved to Flint in 2009, and I stay with my dad, who is an amazing man. So what happened was when we made the switch to Detroit water, right away it started tasting funny, looking funny. Ours was mostly clear, but it smelled weird and it tasted weird. So what I did is I relied on bad boys like these standard flavor packets. Personally, my favorite was strawberry lemonade. Um, it let me get the water down. And then I also drank a lot of tea, which now looking back on it, it's like, oh, great. Concentrated, tasty, concentrated lead. So it got to a point where it just tasted so bad that I almost threw up. And after that, I made the switch to bottled water. And about a week later, um, I start having this pain in my side. I'm like, what is going on? And it got worse. And that night, I ended up in the hospital with kidney stones. Never had an issue of it before. So, like I'd gotten a little dehydrated because of the water. And so, your kidneys filter out everything. So, you know, it the fresh water probably is what started flushing things out of my system, and that's why I had the kidney stone. Um, and so after that, like there was other weird things that happened. Last summer, or no, summer 2014, like my hair started falling out. And that was really weird to me because my hair is actually super long. It's down to the middle of my back. So you can kind of see. And, I've always taken really good care of it. So it was so weird for me for it to be falling out. And it wasn't coming out in clumps, but anytime I washed it, I'd have a chunk of hair that, like, it'd be about that big. And like not full hand, but it'd be at least that big around when I pulled it off, and probably about half a centimeter deep. And my anxiety started getting really bad. My depression started getting really bad. And so, I just kept going. And then a couple months later, I'm out on my porch just reading Facebook. And I hear about this post that keeps being deleted about a woman who took her kid to the doctor and had lead poisoning. And then you start hearing things about a cover up. And, with the depression, like I wasn't sure if I was being paranoid or what. And then over the summer, stuff starts coming out. And everything started to make sense. Like, just why I had been going through such a rough time, and finding out that, water, the one thing that I always made sure to really do good on, I would normally drink at least 64 ounces a day, more like 72. It turned out that I may have been poisoned by my water, and that, I wasn't crazy, that my hair was falling out for a reason, that my skin would prickle and break out because it had a rash. Like, it all started to make sense. And my anxiety was it was so bad that, like, I started doing research, which freaked me out even more. And then Snyder admitted it, and everything started coming out. And that was gratifying in a way. It was it was terrifying at the same time. But it's like, okay, now we've got bottled water. So at least now I know that I'm not going to have to argue and present my case for, spending a very limited part of a very limited grocery budget on something you can get from the tap. And then it got to the point where the urge to do something outweighed the anxiety. And And then I was lucky enough to have one of my medications changed a bit, and I was able to start going out and protesting. And, I still deal with depression, I still deal with anxiety, but it is so cathartic to go out and to shoot these protests and to be a part of it, because we're not going to take it. We're not sitting down and letting this happen to us. Flint is, even though we've all been poisoned, we're not a bunch of victims. We band together, we've been working together. If anything, it's brought the community together. It's brought my block together. But it's still not fair. I mean, I wash my hair every other week. I go out of town to do it. I work from home, which is a blessing because it means that I can go, 3-4 days between baths. And even those get shorter and shorter. No soak baths anymore. Unless I'm out of town. It's hard to deal with. It's like a rain cloud that's constantly over your head. The fact that I have to double filter water or give my cats bottled water to keep them from chewing their hair out is, this is a first world country. I shouldn't have to be doing that. And I mean, or cooking dinner, like it's actually a lot harder to wash, celery with bottled water than you would think, because you basically got to wet it down, then you got to loosen the dirt, and then you rinse it off. And it's funny because, well, it's not really funny. My little sister, we were over there for Christmas, and so I was making all sorts of Flint water jokes like, oh, well, hey, at least you guys can drink the water. And, oh, hey, look, a bunch of bottled water. Yay, now we don't have to worry about, what's going to happen. But she's like, we get it, Meg. Your water sucks. Well, Ken's, I'm not sure if you're watching this, but you're getting a Flint Lives Matter shirt for your birthday. So I think the worst thing is, it's like I said with the tooth, you get used to it, and then you find out about stuff like the Legionnaire's disease. And I remember hearing about that on the news, and it didn't occur to me that didn't happen in other areas. That it was, that we were having all these cases, and it's incredibly abnormal. You don't think twice about, crap, okay, Legionnaire's disease, that's scary, and there's a lot of people getting sick. But you don't realize that other outbreaks aren't as bad as that. So it's infuriating. I do my best to get up in the morning and style and do my thing and keep track of the news. And it's, I've got a news magazine on this app called Flipboard, and I do a lot of work to make sure that I try to have accurate articles in it, but it's gotten to the point that I haven't updated it in like 2 weeks because I just can't deal with it. It's everywhere. You can't escape it. And I think that's one of the things that takes the biggest tolls on you. So Yeah. I know, kind of went from my story to shifting it, but it's not, it's just not me, or I'm not the only one that's been affected. I'm just one of many. Mm, I'm
What
not
do
that
you
bad off.
what do you think about the future? Or do you think about the future?
Um, I try to stay as optimistic as possible. It's, I believe there's 11 bills pending in the Michigan legislature right now that will make what happened, it will criminalize it. So it makes me really hopeful to the future to know that the issue in Flint has actually shown, it's been shining a spotlight on infrastructure problems. So I am a bit more optimistic in that, I know that things will start to change, not just in Flint, but across the country. But at the same time, we have an aging infrastructure, so it's hard to not be a little pessimistic and go, okay, yeah, only a matter of time before this happens again.
How about your future?
It's it's really scary sometimes. I don't know if I should have kids. And not just because of mental health issues, but because of the multi-generational effect of lead. But the really scary thing to me is not sometimes I'm scared that I'm not smart enough to handle meteorology school anymore. That I might have lost IQ points and that I won't be able to hack it. And when you found your calling in life, I think that's one of the hardest things to deal with, to be working towards something and dedicate so much time. I mean, that's how I got the carpal tunnel. My homework hurt me. I literally have had so much of a physical toll on my own body just to get to this point in my program, and I'm absolutely petrified that, that I won't be able to handle it. Excuse me. And it's, I don't know how to, I don't really know how to, go back to being able to trust, government at points, because of this happening. It's, what did you know? When did you know it? We just want an answer. Can't really get one. And I mean, it's really hard sometimes to know that, okay, my escape plan is to go to meteorology school, and to not know if I'm going to be able to handle that. It really takes a toll on you. So, yeah. It's not always a happy story, but it's still a story, and it still needs to be told. So,
You're going to the University of Michigan Flint class tonight.
I was planning on it. However, we are currently under a winter storm warning, and I'm looking out the window right now and it's pretty ugly. So I don't know that I'll be making it, unfortunately. Just this this is not weather that I want to be going out in.
The buses
So
won't be running, is that it?
um they will be running. Unfortunately, I grew out of my snowboarding pants. They don't quite fit. So like I'd be out in the elements. And I mean it's really nasty right now. I'd say the average snowfall rate is over an inch an hour, possibly, or around an inch an hour. So, yeah, just the bad thing about protests is they, like, because you're outside, it tends to wear your immune system down a little bit. And that's one thing that I have to be very careful about. Um, I tend to get sick really easily, and I've got another protest this week. So it's rather than go out in a snowstorm, I'll probably end up just catching up on the live stream afterwards. So I do apologize to you, Jack. I know that you'd asked me to pass along the question, but it's it's ugly out here, just weather-wise.
That's okay. Mike can always send questions electronically. I'm sorry that you're not going to be able to make it, and that the weather is so daunting. It's a big snowstorm, isn't it?
Yeah, it's I've got radar up right now. We are projected to get 9 to 11 inches, I believe, at the latest count. So that'll be between tonight and tomorrow morning. It started just before 9 a.m. and it's a winter wonderland outside right now. Here, I'll pull up the latest alert. Unfortunately, I don't have my snowboard out. Otherwise, I'd be able to run and get a measurement for you real quick. But yeah. Oh, this is all mixed too. So let's see. Warnings. Yep. Still under a warning. But oh, you got me all emotional. Most stiffly. I only have napkins too. Even more fun. But yeah, actually.
Is there anything else you'd like to talk about before we end this session?
No, not really. Other than thank you for having me. It was nice to have a chance to tell my story. And I appreciate that. You always bring up really good topics of conversation. So it's kind of fun to go from viewer to so yeah.
We
How
lost
about
you.
you?
We lost you there at the end. It froze. I think your Wi-Fi is
Oh,
having
okay.
some issues.
That would probably
You said it was fun to go from viewer
yeah,
to
interviewee. Because I've watched some of your stuff before, and so it's kind of fun to be on the other side of the camera. You know, I'm normally the one behind the lens, not in front of it. So definitely a cool experience.
That's right. We saw your camera. Can you give us a little tour around your pink camera?
Okay, so this thing is actually great because of the fact that not only is it the best color ever, but it's actually weatherproof as well. So Like right now, turn it on. No image. All right, so that's pretty much full. But you know, it's like the majority of cameras, except for I have pink trappings. And then, you know, I do prefer to shoot in manual mode because I find that it makes my life a lot easier. So then just focus. All right, and there you are.
There you are. Okay, so you can post that up on your Facebook page.
Mm-hmm. I get another one. I posted on yours.
Or post it on ours. You know, you can send it around.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like pink is your favorite color because you've got the little pink swash on your lower third there that goes along with your camera.
Mm-hmm. I do. It's my favorite color, and I've gotten to the point where it's almost a joke because it's like, okay, let's see how obnoxious we can get with this. So I do have to say, though, if you're looking for pens or pencils to not be stolen, get pink ones because they tend to get returned. Well, at least if you loan them to guys. So women, you still give them back mostly. So.
Well, thanks so much for sharing your story and your time with me today, Megan.
All right, cool. Well, thank you so much for having me, Jack.
And we can still talk in the green room. You don't have to run off so fast. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.